Welcome back to Craig Walker Coaching. This is your home for winning over your crippling self-doubt. I hope to become your trusted expert to help you live the life that you were born to love. Today, I want to talk to you about connection. Listen, we are all hardwired for connections. That's right. God warned us. It's not good for man to be alone. Echoing this truth, psychologist Abraham Maslow, in his hierarchy, or his famed hierarchy of needs, he listed the need to belong second only to the need to connection, or to connect. That's right. Did you know that researchers tell us that just having a few meaningful connections can improve your mood? Yeah, they also tell us that having a few meaningful connections can improve your health as much as 25%. Now, here's a very honest, though, and probing question. If we're all hardwired for connection, why is it seemingly so hard to connect? Well, I think there are a lot of reasons, a lot of possible reasons that connection is so difficult for most of us. Let me just mention a few. Maybe you've experienced this one, or this is true for you: shyness. Some people just find it naturally difficult to be around other people. They're uncomfortable. Here's another one. It's your upbringing. You just didn't have any great role models of connecting when you were growing up. Here's another one. Habit. If someone invites you over, it's just become your habit to find a reason to turn them down. Here's a very real possibility. How about woundedness? Wounds. You know, you were hurt in a relationship in the past, and who wants to put their heart out there and risk getting hurt again? And then there's always the possibility of incompatibility. And I've run into this before too. There just isn't anyone out there that you want to connect with. And then this one. This is really big for me. Often I struggle with this. Selfishness. You just don't want to be bothered by other people. You want to do what you want to do. These are all very real, and they're very possible obstacles that we've got to overcome to connecting. But listen, I think they're not at the heart of the issue. I think the heart of our disconnectedness is this. It's the fundamental belief that we aren't worthy of connection. We know our flaws. We know ourselves. No one would like me if they really knew me. We tend to think that. No one in my circle of relationships, this is what we know about ourselves, is as flawed as I am. That's what we think. Now, reflecting on connections on a recent trip to Colorado, I'd spent 12 days, or actually 10 days in the mountains elk hunting, and I had this insight while I was there about connection. You'll understand in just a second. Standing at 12,000 feet, I was looking down on the distant mountains. It was late September. The aspens covering the mountains were in their full fall colors. They were dressed in yellows and the brilliant golds and stretched on as far as my eye could see. Well, my view of the mountains from a distance, they looked like a blanket, a soft blanket that had been tossed on a bed, and with their folds and their valleys and their peaks and their ridges, and they were all just covered in gold dust, and the view was just breathtakingly beautiful. Now, hiking in the mountains, though, it gave me another look. Standing in the trees on the side of the mountain, I had a view from within. This up-close and personal view was not nearly as beautiful. I saw deadfall. Deadfall is trees that had died and were decaying. Trees that had fallen over and were lying across one another and on top of one another, like those sticks from the game Pickup Sticks. You know, you toss them out of a can on the floor and they're all just lying across each other. We tend to look at other people the way I saw the mountains from a distance, don't we? You know, from a distance, they seem like they have it all together. Their lives are perfect. We measure what we know about ourselves against what we see in the distance, and we feel so inadequate to connect. But from years of working with people as a pastor, I know from experience as well as I know God's Word, is that, well, we're all flawed. We all have our own deadfall. Those parts of our lives that are dead and decaying. It's only visible to us on the inside, to people who are up close. Connections, listen, it's a lot like playing airsoft war. If you want to enjoy the game, you got to make yourself vulnerable. Now, you can stay out of the fray, you can. But if you do, you're also staying out of the fun. And that's what sucks about airsoft. If you want to make yourself in range to shoot another player, you've got to put yourself in range to get shot. Yes, that's what sucks about relationships. I used to play airsoft war with my son Hunter when he was just a kid. Since I was the dad, I knew that, well, while it stings to get shot, it wasn't that bad. And the sting of getting shot, it pales in comparison to the fun and the joy I had of shooting my son. I'd make a run at him like a kamikaze pilot bearing down on Allied forces. Now, he would get up and run, get off a couple of shots behind him, usually missing, before he just turned and hightailed it out of there. Now, that's when I would light him up, just bang, 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 shoot him in the back about 100 times. Now, the moral of the story is this. If you want to experience the thrill of relationships, you have to make yourself vulnerable. I know this is what sucks, but it's true. My encouragement to you, stop worrying about getting hit. I mean, letting others discover your flaws. You're not perfect anyway, and neither are they. Does it sting to let them discover your flaws? Well, yes, it does. But it doesn't hurt nearly as much as that feeling of being disconnected. Here's something that I think will help you move towards connection. It helps me to remember these three things. Number one is that, well, when it comes to connections, being bad at it, you're not alone. Remember, connection is difficult for most of us, even those of us who are not shy. While the need for connection is natural, there are a few things that will come naturally about getting connected. That's just a reality. So you're not alone. Here's the second thing you should remember. Everyone has issues. We each have our own deadfall. And others only look like they have it all together because you're looking at them from a distance. But when you get up close enough for them to see your problems, guess what? You'll see they have issues too. They're not as financially well off as you thought they were. They're not. And their kids, they aren't always as sweet and polite as they appear. And their marriage, it isn't nearly as perfect as you thought. Everyone wakes up with bad breath, like you. Everyone has deadfall. It's a constant of life. Now, here's a third thing that I think will help you remember. This is really vital. And that's this. You're worthy of connection. That's right. Researchers show that one hallmark of people who are good at connecting is this. They believe they're worthy of connection. You are. So what are you going to do? My challenge to you is that you will do one of three things. I want to ask you to do one of three things. Take one step today. This is your action so that you can move forward. This is your win. I want you to take a run at connections. You're going to get hit. Will it sting? Yes, it will. Not nearly as much, though, in comparison to the joy of being connected. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Number one, make a commitment that the next time someone invites you out, you're going to say yes. You're going to resist the habit to stay disconnected. Say yes. Number two, maybe you want to up your game and you don't want to wait until you're invited out. So I'm going to ask you to do this. Don't wait to be invited out. Invite someone out to lunch or to coffee. And while you're out, share something personal about yourself. Try this. Tell them. Just admit it. I'm not good at this connecting thing. Admit that you always had this belief or this thought that if someone really knew you, they wouldn't like you. And you're only here because, well, you think that connecting with them is worth the risk. That's a good one. Here's a third. And I think we all have to do this. If we're going to do one or two, you're going to have to do this one. And that's resist selfishness. Believe me, I understand selfishness more than you can imagine and more than maybe you want to believe. My nature is to be selfish. And then remember that incompatibility thing I talked about earlier, there's no one in your sphere of relationships that you want to connect with. Hey, you know what? If you'll resist selfishness and just put yourself out there, you just may find someone who needs you. Well, what are you going to do? I hope you found this video encouraging and helpful to you. If it was, let me know in a comment below. If you struggle to put yourself out there and get connected in relationships, why not sign up for my class, Truly a masterpiece, the training. You know, I'm launching a new self-paced video training group on November the 9th. Sign up today. The link is in the notes below. Till next week, may God help you to live the life that you were born to live.